UFC Baku just recently wrapped up, and I'm going to recap the entire card. In the main event, Jamal Hill got absolutely picked apart by Khalil Rountree for 5 rounds. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the co-main event. We'll talk about every fight. I'm going to start from the first fight of the night, and then work my way up to the main event. Yeah, the card wasn't great. It was a weak card. Kind of trash. A lot of decisions. Decent moments in some of the bigger fights on the card. And the main card was better, to be fair. But definitely a handful of snooze fest, which we will unfortunately have to talk about too. So let's jump right into things. Fight number 1. Hamdi Abdelwahab versus Mohammed Usman. Can I go do something else? I'll tell you what happened. Mohammed Usman landed bigger shots. Hamdi Abdelwahab is an Olympic wrestler. Olympic. Yes, you heard that right. I know he doesn't look like it physically, but he was. Greco-Roman. Does not try and wrestle at all against Mohammed Usman. I get it. Usman's, big, jacked, and strong. But at least shoot some kind of takedown. He did okay striking early. He was actually landing really good leg kicks, Hamdi was, in round number 1. But then just, abandons the strategy and just got, kind of outboxed. Not really. He lost by a bit. It was close. So awful, man. The separating moments were just bigger shots from Usman. Obviously, when you look at the strike stats, there's a fair gap in punches. But when you look at the head strikes, it was 44-34. Not crazy, right? More body work from Usman. But the leg kicks, that's all in round 1 from Hamdi. Landing clean leg kicks accurately. But it's hey, let's just not do that anymore. Nobody in the corner is go back to that fucking leg kick. Yeah, terrible performance by Hamdi. A decent one by Mohammed Usman, I guess, to be fair. He kept his UFC career alive. I don't want to make this the bashing of Hamdi show. We got to give praise here. Mohammed Usman, the brother of Kamaru Usman, getting a UFC win when his back was really against the wall. Where do you go now? Where do you go now? Martin Boudet, maybe? That's not a bad idea, to be honest with you. Chris Barnett, if the Beast Boy wants to make a comeback, I'm cool with Chris Barnett and Mohammed Usman. For Hamdi Damti, PFL maybe? Hamdi's a failed experiment, bro. They brought in the wrestler. He's got the hype coming in. He's unbeaten, this and that. And then he takes steroids, okay? He looked terrible on steroids. He took steroids and got a 2-year-plus suspension, got a controversial, barely beaten Jamal Pogues, but he was sick before, right? That's what he said. Then he loses to Mohammed Usman. I don't need to watch this guy ever fight again. We're not re-signing Jairzinho Rozenstruik, but we have Hamdi Abdelwahab on the roster. 2025 UFC, ladies and gentlemen. I'm moving up the fucking card. Next fight, Syguła Ulanbekov versus Azat Maksum. This was a saving grace moment for me. Actually, a pretty good fight. Azat Maksum defended all of Ulanbekov's takedowns and landed 3 takedowns of his own. I mean, if you would have told me this before fight, I'd be like, you're crazy, bro. You're going to say Maksum out-wrestles Ulanbekov? What? He did, though. He landed the key takedowns. Wow, I was like, damn. Ulanbekov, the runt of the Dagestani litter, he wins the fight with striking. That was more surprising. Clinch work and striking. He landed good straights. Drinking a lot of water here, guys. After Baku, I don't know. I felt dehydrated, bro. I felt dehydrated after Baku. Syguła Ulanbekov did what was needed, okay? Letting clean straights, clinching when need be, but Maksum was a dog in this fight. Nearly got him. Made it close. I know. You look at the scorecards. If you didn't watch the fight, you're just watching the recap. You're like, oh, look at a washout. Now it's pretty competitive. Close rounds, small moments separating them. Ulanbekov was part of the Lock City parlay, so, it was kind of the saving grace moment because I was worried a little bit with how close the fight was looking. The fact that Maksum stopped all 8 takedown attempts. The only guy in the UFC not to get taken down by Ulanbekov as far as all of his opponents have gone at flyweight. So that's an impressive stat. Azat Maksum's got a pretty good future in the UFC. And Ulanbekov's striking deserves some credit, man. His straight punches were accurate in this fight. And he fought hard until the end. I mean, Maksum did land the late takedowns, but didn't do anything with them. And Ulanbekov had already landed punches. I scored the fight 30-27 Ulanbekov. I thought it was a close first, but I thought second and third were definitely Ulanbekov's, with the first really being the only round within question as far as reasonable doubt on if he had won the round. But did enough in round 2 and 3 to secure a W. Beats a pretty game Azat Maksum, who's actually, deceptively good. I'm curious what Azat Maksum's UFC future looks like. I mean, dude is 1-2 in the UFC now, but just gave Ulanbekov a competitive matchup. Probably somebody unranked, and I feel like Maksum goes out and wins. Maybe they do Azat Maksum versus like Cody Durden, who's on a rough losing streak right now. Not a crazy idea to do two guys on two L's in a row against one another. I'm down for that. But yeah, nonetheless, Ulanbekov gets the win. Competitive, hard fought decision, but a clean win with the striking. Alekseeva, Klaudia, Syguła. I think this fight showed that Syguła is a little better than advertised, and Irina Alekseeva is a lot worse than advertised. Alekseeva has like that cocky vibe to her, right? So you believe in the confidence against some of these back end girls. I mean, look at her debut against Hager, and she fought hard against Mullins. Well, Klaudia Syguła beat the absolute shit out of her striking. Klaudia Syguła even got her to the ground, bro. Alekseeva got destroyed by Syguła in this fight. It was a one-sided ass whooping. We hadn't seen Alekseeva since 2023. I don't think we need to see her again until 2027. All jokes aside, though, if she actually wants any bit of a UFC career left over, if she doesn't get released and she's very live to get cut from the UFC, you got to fight soon, man. She's already, 34, nearly 35? I think her career's done. She's 5-3. She's turned out to be one of those overrated Russian products, man. Syguła actually looked really good here, and she just beat the shit out of Alekseeva. Like, it was an embarrassing ass whooping for how big of a favorite Alekseeva was. And her striking looked dangerous in previous fights. But then again, it was Melissa Mullins who, ultimately turned out to really suck. We'll talk about that in a second. Klaudia Syguła actually looked pretty good here. I was like, damn, okay, Syguła. Hands were accurate. Overhand shots were landing all the time. Beat Alekseeva in all areas and even had her badly hurt in the fight. It was a good display. Syguła earned a lot of respect from me. I was a heavy Syguła doubter, but she can definitely fight a bit. So big W for Syguła in the upset. Alekseeva, she's on her way out of the UFC. Next fight, Daria Zheleznyakova, Melissa Mullins 2, the rematch. It didn't go how the last fight went. Actually, it kind of did early. Melissa Mullins was getting stung by big punches. Did wheel herself back into the fight a little bit, striking in round number 1, but landed the late takedown and got on top of Zheleznyakova to finish the round off, and then shot an armbar and was close to getting it. Round number 2, things got confusing for me because Melissa Mullins chose to not shoot takedowns until the very end of the round. Just accepted getting outstruck. And then the same thing in round 3. She tries to wrestle with a minute left. She also got dropped by a jab to the liver. That was a really clean body shot from Zheleznyakova. Just a light jab to the body. Literally looked like a 1-inch punch, like a little tap. Like on the bag, you wouldn't hear any pop. It would just be like Mullins went down. Obviously they were hyping up. It was a liver shot, but also I think Mullins might have a glass body, but that's besides the point. Melissa Mullins may have a negative fight IQ. Her fight IQ is low. I think could be a potential 70 IQ. The fact that she only chose to wrestle late was the most confusing game plan I've ever seen. In a fight where her clear advantage is on the ground, she spent way too much time kickboxing. If I was the corner, I'd be freaking out saying, take this fight to the ground, spam takedowns, shoot 5 of them in a row. I don't understand why you're kickboxing. She got absolutely tuned up on the feet and she lost a lopsided decision and looked like dumb doing it. You can say, AJ, you're outside of it. You don't understand. Well, I'm telling you, sport, okay? There's a pathway to victory in all sports, okay? It's fighting, but it's still a fucking sport, okay? There's pathways to win. Okay, shooting half-court shots in basketball is not how you win, especially when you have a badass fucking big man in the paint and you're just going to throw up long-range threes, okay? Trying to do a handoff in a fucking football game when you need a Hail Mary touchdown. And this is Melissa Mullins not wrestling until the final minute. It was the dumbest game plan I've ever seen in my life, and it was shameful. Good win for Zheleznyakova to avenge a loss. She really, shouldn't have a loss to Mullins on a record. Holy shit. Because Mullins' fight IQ is legitimately negative. She got good jiu-jitsu, but have to get fights to the ground to use it. I don't understand. Stupidity for sure. Good win for Zheleznyakova. Next fight, Naurdiev Park. This was the foul fest. This fight turned out to be one of the weirder fights of the night. So starts off competitive first round. Actually, Naurdiev looked really sharp in the first like 3.5, 4 minutes of the first round. But Jun Park is just like relentless, eating everything Naurdiev's throwing at him. Naurdiev likes that jab to the body a lot. Doesn't have much power on it. It didn't seem to do anything besides like just a point. Like it lands, but like that's really it. Park was relentless with pressure. Park finished that round strong. He even had Naurdiev a little bit on wobbly legs towards the end of the round and backing up. I thought Park probably stole the first round, but you could definitely see them giving it to Naurdiev on what he did early. Round number 2, there was more success for Naurdiev. It was actually like a dog fight, though, because Naurdiev was starting to breathe a little heavy, and then it was like, all right, Park is wheeling himself back into the fight. And then they get into a clinch position against the cage, like towards the ground. They scramble to the mat, and Jun Park is on a knee, and Naurdiev throws a knee to the eye of Park illegally, completely illegal. Park's eye is leaking blood. He can't see. He takes a full 5-minute break. I'm thinking it's a disqualification. I'm like, that's a DQ, done. No, they have Park continue to fight, and then they deduct 2 points from Naurdiev, which is really interesting. And Jun Park almost got put in a bad spot early when the fight reset. Naurdiev was throwing hard at him, wrestling hard at him, defending the wrestling. Park was just trying to wrestle. Defending the wrestling, even took the back of Park, like had a big moment. And then Park ends up reversing, getting on top, taking down Naurdiev, beating him up from top position, and then embrace the motherfucking control. Embrace the motherfucking control is what Jun Park did. And then round number 3, bringing more pressure and just like melted Naurdiev, taking him to the ground, beating him up. It was a 10-7 round number 2. Okay, because it was already a 10-9 round for Park in round 2, and then you're taking 2 points away. We got a 10-7. Then clear 10-9 in round 3 with Park outworking Naurdiev. And Naurdiev's second UFC run is looking just as bad as his first one. Jun Park's fucking relentless, man. The Iron Turtle deserves some respect. I'm going to give him it right here. Dude does not wilt. Dude does not break. The man doesn't stop. The Iron Turtle's made of steel. Now, of course, beating Naurdiev is not like a high caliber win per se, but like, is it crazy to say that you'd like to see the winner of Olek in GM3 fight Jun Park? Because that's exactly what I would like. If not that, could be the Shara Bullet and Marc-Andre Barrios winner. Jun Park is in a good position to get a jump up in the ranks again. He just knows how to fucking win, man. He's won 2 fights in a row, lost that kind of controversial decision to Menez back in 2023, close win over Tavares, dominant win over Naurdiev, and I think it's big fights only from here on out. Now, when I say big fights, I don't mean top 15, but like, I'm down with the Shara Bullet Barrios winner, and I'm down with the Oleg Jacek GM3 winner. Both are viable options for what would be next for Park. Now, of course, you know, end of July, early August are the fights for both of them, so who knows if the timelines line up. But if they are to line up, I like the idea of seeing Park against any of those 4. Those are matchups that intrigue me for him. And fun fights only for Park, though. Like, I feel like, you know, don't give him Bo Nickel. I mean, you know what? He could end up surprising Bo Nickel, to be fair. Could he fight Bruno Ferreira, Ikram Aliaskarov winner? Sure, things could go in that direction too, but I'm less confident that they do. But definitely Jun Park shows he deserves a spot. You know, amongst the better fighters on the roster in middleweight, because he's definitely like on the better half for sure. Better 25%. He's a top 30 guy in the UFC middleweight division without a doubt. And I like the idea of matchups next. Dude's relentless, tough as nails, iron chin, and does what needs to be done. So shout out to Park. Next fight, Seokhyeon Ko versus Oban Elliott. This was the fraud check of the year, as Seokhyeon Ko, who was a prospect I was excited about, but of course, me and everybody besides my brother, who's the only person in the world that I know that picked Ko, picked Oban Elliott. I mean, we all did. He got dominated on the ground. He got outstruck. He got backed up, bullied, and made uncomfortable, sliced open, and beaten the shit out of for the entire fight. A lopsided 30-27 where Ko just showed levels, man. Elliott 3-0 in the UFC coming into this fight. Ko making his debut. He was originally supposed to fight Billy Ray Goff. You know what? Billy Ray Goff would have took a bad loss to Ko too. Holy shit, man. Ko just like burst on the scene. I picked him against Cavalcanti, but then I doubted him here because I really bought into the Oban Elliott's coming together hype. I was like, nah, he's got the tools, but holy shit. Ko beat his ass. One-sided beating. Not competitive. No close moments, okay? It was just a proper ass whooping by Ko in this fight here. And beating an Oban Elliott, who, yeah, hadn't beaten the biggest names, but like you got to respect the anticipation and hype on him. He was surging up the ranks fast. I have no idea the direction you go with Ko after a fight like this. Like, do you match him up in like a prospect fight versus like an Andreas Gustafsson who's coming off the big win over Chaos Williams? Do you match him up against maybe like, an aging veteran who's taking some losses if you're just looking more for, entertainment value like a Lizio Zaleski or potentially like a loser of Carlos Leon Muslim Sadykhov? I'm not so sure. For Oban Elliott, I think there's a fight against Alex Morono on the table. I won't lie to you. I think that's kind of a fair idea because he's a vet now with 4 UFC fights. The hype is just stopped dead in his tracks for Oban. He got fucked up, man. Ko a little bit older, showed it. He like big brothered Oban Elliott as a huge underdog. Respect to Syguła Ko going out there and just dominating Oban Elliott in all areas of fighting. He looked fucking good everywhere. Korea's got some fucking talent. We got Zombie Jr. We got Ko. We need a UFC Korea card. Gotta wake up early as hell for that. But I need a UFC Korea card. I'll fucking get up at 3 in the morning for that. I'll do it for the people. Big W, Syguła Ko. One-sided. Destruction, domination, ass whooping, beat down central, ground and pound from top, backing up Oban on the feet. Oban had 0 answers. He's trying to grapple and he's just getting bullied. Like he got fucking manhandled, man. Ko's a problem. Ko's a problem in welterweight, especially the unranked guys. I'd be terrified if I was another prospect. 31 years old. He's got that man strength, whereas Oban's still in his 20s at 27. You could see the difference. Ko's a fucking killer as a big underdog. Big dog against Cavalcanti. I did pick him there. Then a big dog here. At least one of the DeVitos picked him. At least my brother called him. Respect to that. Shit, son. Shit, son. Big W. Syguła Ko going out and just destroying the hype of Oban Elliott and killing many of people's like confident parlays. Because I think pretty much everybody in the world, I think everybody that does predictions predicted Oban Elliott besides little bro. So shout out to him and shout out to Ko for getting it done in dominant fashion. Let's jump to the main card. You guys haven't yet, make sure you smash the likes. If you're new, subscribe. Muhammad, Naimov, Bogdan, Grad. Early in the fight, Naimov hit him with that spinning heel kick and rocked Grad, but Grad followed it up with takedown pressure and some grappling threat. They did get back to striking, though, and I thought Naimov definitely took the first round. Second round was close, but Bogdan Grad outmuscled Naimov a bit, outgrappled him. He landed 3 out of 10 takedowns as opposed to 1 out of 3 for Naimov. And then even come round number 3, like Bogdan Grad is bringing thunderous pressure and looking like he's in a control round 3. Naimov ends up hitting a nice little reversal as Bogdan Grad falls off, makes a mistake, and then he's on his back for a majority of the round. Naimov beating him up from top position, not with thunderous ground and pound, but good peppering shots. The referee, Mark Garter, does a step up, step up, what the fuck? Step up, yeah, let's dance. Does a stand up. I'm like, what are we doing here? What's going on? But then, Naimov's fine on the feet and then kind of just runs away from Grad till the end. And, Naimov won the fight. 29-28, Naimov clear as day decision with a really weird stand-up in the mix. Bogdan Grad did something for me, though. I said, okay, cardio looks better. Skill set looks better. I have to put respect on Bogdan Grad's name for going out there and giving Naimov a tough fight. I thought Naimov would have had his way with him a lot easier. And Bogdan made it competitive. He showed grappling skills. He was dangerous in striking. Respect. Respect to Bogdan Grad, but Muhammad Naimov was the man, all right? UFC vet at this point, 2-fight win streak. Does what needed to be done to squeak past Bogdan Grad by a 29-28 decision. Now, this next fight I want to get to is where things actually got really fucking exciting. After a good handful of mid-fights, we got a certified cult classic, all right? Round number 1, striking flow is going crazy. Both of these guys, technical, mixing it up. Big moments for both. Heavy barrages, big exchanges. I mean, listen, Nikolas Motta was not completely outgunned in the fight. He settled in close range and sat on his punches and caught Sadykhov with some heavies. He even blitzed Sadykhov bad with like a fucking 25-shot combination against the cage, ripping the body and head. And then Sadykhov rocks Motta and has Motta on wobbly legs, backing up. It was a wild fight. Wild until it ended. Technical striking, nasty kicks on both sides. It was just one of those great fights. Sadykhov was hurt early too in round number, or rather not early, but was it in round 2, late round 2, early round 1? Now I'm having flashbacks in a different manner. I know that at one point Sadykhov was like almost down and out as Motta was barraging him with shots against the cage, and like the ref was looking at it, but he didn't quit. I think that Azerbaijan crowd, a little bit motivation, right? You know, his home country. And then in round number 2, we got, more chaos. Did that blitz happen in round 1 and 2? Listen, man, I've been live for like 7 hours. You know what I'm saying, chat? I'm telling you straight off, rip off the top of the dome. Round 2 rather, chaos happens. More chaos. The fight was just the essence of chaos. Sadykhov cut Motta with a nasty elbow. It was a strike to the nose. More badass striking exchanges between the two against the cage. And then Sadykhov clips him with the perfect hook and just drops Motta nasty against the cage and puts him out. Little ground and pound. Ref jumps in and stops it. Motta was making it a dogfight. He was scrapping until the end. He was choosing to engage in an absolute brawl with the Sadykhov, who was out for blood. And Motta ends up getting starched. It was one of those breakout fights for Sadykhov. He was coming off the big win against Bonfim as an underdog. He was a huge favorite here in his home country, and he got a violent knockout against, a tough journeyman in Nicholas Motta. This is what Sadykhov needed, man. He's beaten Terrence McKinney. Now he's beaten Motta. He beat Bonfim. Obviously, he had that draw, which was a bit of a letdown against, Mr. Kickboxing. Where does he go from here? That's the issue, though, with Sadykhov. Where the fuck does he go from here? It's like Mauricio Rufy Sadykhov could be such fireworks. Mauricio Rufy Sadykhov could be such a cool fight. I like the idea of them doing Mauricio Rufy versus Sadykhov. If not, there's also a Manuel Torres fight. Now, you could go Rufy versus Torres, to be fair, but those are two options that intrigue me a lot. I'd be very interested in watching Mauricio Rufy and Sadykhov strike, as I'd feel the same about a Manuel Torres fight. Both of those matchups are testy ones. I think he probably loses both of them. But at this point, that's the type of matchup, that comes next. For Nicholas Motta, keep him on the roster. He delivers fun fights. And he showed takedown defense, defended the one takedown from Sadykhov. I got to give him respect for that. Great performance by Sadykhov. Fight of the night. Bar none. No doubt about it. Next fight, Tofiq Musayev, Mitabek Orolbai. This was to save the parlays for the night. The Lock City parlay was on the line. We hit Ulanbekov, and then Orolbai comes through as well. And he took Musayev down easily. Left to the takedown. Boom. Control from top. Musayev finds a way back up, and then takedown again from Orolbai. Passes, gets to a more dominant position, shoots the Kimura, tap. Now, the fight took place at 165 because Orolbai can't make the weight class. So it's one of those scenarios where Orolbai should probably move up. Musayev kind of got fucked over because he's definitely more of a lightweight, whereas, Orolbai has fought at welterweight and won before. Musayev is truly a 55er, and he's past his prime at 35. Quick sub by Orolbai in round number 1. I thought it was, uber impressive, really. Fortunate for Musayev to get handled like that at home. But Orolbai, man, if he can get to 155, there's dope fights. I just don't think he can. So now we're going welterweight Orolbai. Who the fuck does he fight at welterweight? Right? It changes the whole dynamic. I saw somebody in the live chat mention he fights the winner of Brian Battle and Nursultan Riziboyev. I hate Riziboyev at welterweight. Welterweight Orolbai. I know he wants to fight at lightweight, but he's going to have to move up. He really seems like he can't make the weight. Like he can't do it. He can't do it. How are you going to have this guy fighting at that weight class if you can't make it? He can't get on weight. He's doing 165, and every time he needs to change it. 160 last time with Rembeshki. So he's got to go up to 170. And then who does he fight from there? Imagine you do Kevin Holland. They're not going to do that. Mitabek Orolbai. One of those hell matchups with the grappling. I have no idea if he goes up to 170 who he fights. Like, do they give him a vet like Michael Chiesa? It doesn't even make sense. Too hard to match make this hypothetical, man. At 155, it's a different conversation because there's definitely fights for him, but he's not fighting at 155. This fight was at 165. From Musayev, I mean, he continues the downfall of all guys that have fought in Bellator and then coming over to the UFC in recent years. just getting beaten. I know he's a rising guy too, but he came to the UFC way too late, man. They should have took him up in 2019, 2025. I knew at 35 years old, this was too late for him. Respect to Mitabek Orolbai doing what needed to be done, but I don't like the constant weight issues and weight class switches. So next fight needs to be the tell-all, and hopefully either he gets to 55 or he's doing 170 from now on. Next fight, Curtis Blaydes versus Rizvan Kuniev. Oh, man. I thought this was a fucking robbery. I thought this was a robbery, man. I did not agree with the scorecards at all. Round number 1, Curtis Blaydes was on Kuniev with the wrestling, took him down early, and then pressured him up against the cage for a vast majority of the round. So it was definitely a Blaydes first round. I'm not arguing anything. Vast majority of it was Blaydes backing Kuniev up against the cage, back control, body lock position, things like that. Round number 2, Kuniev's striking is starting to flow. He's stopping Blaydes' clinch and takedown threats. He's landing good shots on the feet on Curtis Blaydes. He's stinging Blaydes and has him bleeding. Blaydes is still throwing back, but Kuniev clearly is winning the striking and had Blaydes hurt a couple of times. Not badly hurt, but definitely hurt. Kuniev takes the second round, no doubt about it. Round number 3, back to the flow. Starts off, big knee from Kuniev, backs Blaydes up, big punch combination against the cage. Blaydes is bleeding bad. Fight continues. Blaydes lands a nice straight shot, kind of backs Kuniev up, has him maybe a little hurt, but not like badly wobbled, right? Now, it wasn't like the hardest punch of the fight. It was one of the harder shots, but Kuniev had landed bigger shots in the previous round, and even that first barrage. And then Blaydes is pressuring Kuniev up against the cage, back control, body lock position, knees to the butt. Knees to the butt. I think they counted them as significant strikes. I swear to you. When they said it was like 30 to 15 on the live stats and significant strikes in round 3, that was fake. Controls a bit. Eventually, Kuniev finds a way to escape and, finishes the round off with decent striking. Has Blaydes a little bit uncomfortable late, round number 3. Has him off balance with a couple of punches, backing away. And he's already busted up, but he's definitely like feeling the fight. And like Kuniev landed the bigger shots to finish. So he started the round well, got caught with a decent shot in the middle of the round, and then finished the round strong. Blaydes wins the round on what planet? On what fucking planet? On what planet does Blaydes win that round? Seriously. On what planet? That was a Rizvan Kuniev 29-28 decision without a doubt. I was shocked by the scorecard. Blaydes looked like he just gone 15 rounds with a prime fucking Mike Tyson, okay? Obviously, Tyson wasn't fighting 50 rounds, but you get the analogy. His face was destroyed. Couldn't he have a little blood on him? And then, a little scratch. I thought this fight was clear as day. Curtis Blaydes losing 29-28. Second and third round, Kuniev all day. I was very confused by the scorecards. I think it was a robbery. I disagree completely. Kuniev, now the guy coming from that PFL circuit, it's like, let's make these PFL guys look bad. Let's go the other way. I'm not saying it's that deep of corruption, but like, what the fuck? I thought Kuniev definitely won, and I was like, okay, Kuniev's now a legit player amongst the elites in this UFC heavyweight division, but instead, Blaydes keeps it alive with a controversial decision. And now it's like, I don't know. Fuck, man. I wanted Kuniev at the top. Kuniev definitely earned a big fight following this, but not the fight he would have gotten with a win on paper. Curtis Blaydes is ranked number 5. I have no idea. I have no idea what they do with him. I have no idea. Do we do Curtis Blaydes versus Marcin Tybura next? It's like, where are they going to go with him? He already fought Pavlovich and lost. He fought Aspinall, lost. They're not going to give him Gane. He did beat Volkov, but a while ago. Volkov should have beat Gane. He lost a controversial decision. I guess you could go Volkov versus Blaydes 2. But the UFC would be open to rebooking it, and maybe that's the direction they have to go down. I'm hearing rumors of Sergey Pavlovich versus Waldo Cortez Acosta, which is interesting. Yeah, this is fucked, man. Now, for the side of Rizvan Kuniev, realistically, an opponent for him that I think would make sense would be somebody like a Marcin Tybura or Sergey Spivak. Either one of those two would suffice. I think Tai Tuivasa has got to be removed from the rankings. How the fuck is he holding a number 11 spot and hasn't fought in a while, and he's 400 pounds now? Rizvan versus either Tybura or Spivak, and I say Blaydes versus either Tybura or Volkov too, I guess. Fucking heavyweight, man. with a win, I would have loved to have seen Kuniev like fighting one of those cool matchups against a Volkov or even a Jailton Almeida, but now it doesn't really make sense because Almeida's got wins. I know Blaydes got the win over Almeida, but still. Rivs on, rivs on, rivs on. Robs on, rivs on. That's what this card was. It is what it is. It is what it is, man. Rivs on Kuniev loses the decision, but I do think he won the fight. And showed he's a legit fucking heavyweight. I'll tell you that much. Next fight was the co-main event, and it was a technical kickboxing battle where Fiziev ultimately was sharper with his body work and punch combinations on the inside, was faster than Bahamondes, which I anticipated he would be. I picked Fiziev going in as an underdog, and even showed some wrestling in the fight, landing 4 takedowns. And Bahamondes obviously trying some grappling from the bottom, throwing up some submission attempts, but nothing was there. Easily stuffed the ghillie, easily snubbed off the triangle attempt, and Fiziev handed Bahamondes a very similar loss to the loss that he had against Ludovic Klein. I predicted the fight would look similar to that, and it absolutely did. Fiziev at home in Azerbaijan gets it done. It was a good back and forth fight. Both guys had moments. Bahamondes was not like a complete ass whooped, shutout. Definitely lost the fight, but still put up a gutsy effort. But Fiziev was just too sharp, too accurate. Big headshots land round number 3 as well that busted Bahamondes up. Punches on the inside, snapping body kicks and wrestling threat too. Some ground and pound. Rafael Fiziev put on a statement-like performance where it's like, okay, I'm still here, guys. They wrote him off. They all wrote him off. He was the underdog here. It's like, Fiziev is a gangster still. Fiziev is amongst the better half of the damn top 15 in the damn lightweight division. He was ranked number 11 coming in against Bahamondes, who was looking to break into that top 15. Where does he go from here? I mean, Rafael Fiziev versus like a Dan Hooker is a dope fight. I don't think they booked that, but I like the matchup a lot. If they want to have him fight backwards again, there's a BSD fight for him. He could fight the winner of Moicano and Dariush, but I don't think Moicano would be crazy about that rematch, nor the UFC. He's in a weird position where his losses are against Gamrot and Gaethje, but then he just beat an unranked guy in Bahamondes. So how much of a jump does he really get? How much of a move up the ranks does he really have? I'd say Chandler, but I think they're going to try to do like Chandler versus Rufy or something like that to like build a prospect off of him as opposed to giving him like another grizzled vet. But I definitely like the idea of Fiziev and Dan Hooker fighting just for like the kickboxing battle. I'm curious to watch it ensue, and I'd be, very intrigued to witness how the striking flow looks between the two of them. That's a matchup that gets me excited as well, especially if we're not getting Hooker versus Gaethje. I mean, that Fiziev fight could still be absolute fireworks. Then on the opposite side, like where do they go with Bahamondes? I knew it was too soon, man. Said it was too soon, just a little too soon at 27. And ultimately, not ready for the rankings, but still ready for good competition. He's still a solid fighter. Taking the L here doesn't move him that far down the rankings. Is it wild to do a fight against a guy coming off a win like a Fares Ziam? Is there a Nasrat Hakparas fight? Like, there's intriguing matchups for Bahamondes next. There's a Jared Gordon fight even, potentially. I'd say any of those 3. But definitely somebody unranked. And at 27, he's coming into his own, and I think eventually he'll break into the top 15. But Bahamondes keeps knocking on the door, but just not yet really at top 15 level. And if you would have beaten Fiziev, then it's top 10 afterwards. I just don't think he was ready for it. And it showed. And he lost to, a very talented striker with loads of Muay Thai experience and that head coach at Tiger Muay Thai. Not really any shame in this defeat. It's just Fiziev showed him the striking level difference, regardless of the size differential between the two of them. So big W Fiziev getting it done. And he was impressive. Go out there and win handily like that. Needed at home, too, in Azerbaijan after Musayev got absolutely mollywopped. To be fair, though, Sadykhov looked great in the fight before, but they were feeling sad about their boy Musayev because he was one of the early pioneers of that Azerbaijan MMA scene, killing it and rising, but just too late to the UFC. Let's jump to the main event. If you guys haven't yet and you're enjoying, hit the likes. If you're new, subscribe. Jamal Hill, Khalil Rountree. This was one-sided technical striking from Khalil. Round number 1 was actually competitive. Jamal was ripping heavy low kicks at Khalil. They were both firing low shots. Jamal Hill threw some decent punches. Rountree threw some sharp shots, but Rountree kind of like took the first round to make reads. I felt like that first round was a bit of a toss-up round. Could have ended up going either way. And then round number 2, Rountree's on that leg, chopping up that leg of Jamal Hill, the right leg, right? The southpaw versus southpaw opens up that calf kick, man. And Jamal Hill got his calf fucked up. Rountree was sharp and accurate, attacking the calves. Hill not committing to multi-shot combinations, just throwing one at a time, hurting the leg in round 2, hurting the leg more is Khalil in round 3, landing some decent shots, making Jamal Hill uncomfortable on the feet, cracking him with big punches. I believe the knockdown, I think there was 2 of them in round number 4, if I'm not mistaken. Khalil was landing like those overhand shots, the long range overhands. He even threw early in the fight this weird standing hammer fist. It's such a strange technique, but it works for Khalil because he generates so much force. Nasty body kicks, heavy calf kicks, and just picking apart Jamal Hill. Jamal, after his legs were chopped apart, he really wasn't able to enter range and close the gap well, and he wasn't confident to do so either. His face was busted up bad. He was rocked on multiple occasions. He was hurt badly. I think there was 2 to 3 knockdowns for Khalil. It's listed as 1, but 2 to 3. And Khalil was just a sharp blade, technically sound the whole time, blocking everything Jamal would throw. And even Jamal's best strength, though, is normally stringing combos together and then finding the big shots. I couldn't do it anymore. He looked bad, man. I was worried about Jamal when I saw that stomach jiggling. I was like, fuck, man. Jamal Hill doesn't have that shape he used to. And I think since that Achilles injury, it's like he's a different human. Doesn't have that same oomph factor that he once did. And he hasn't looked the same since taking the fat loss to fucking Pereira and tearing that Achilles the year prior. And Khalil showed him levels, just like dismantled him in a technical manner. It was a masterclass performance from Khalil Rountree. Round number 5, better round for Jamal Hill, but he was still picked apart. But he was throwing shots and he landed some on the feet. But ultimately, Khalil landed harder, bigger, better, nasty body kicks, punches over the top. Khalil Rountree technically outstruck, picked apart, and dominated Jamal Hill in every aspect of striking. I have to say, Khalil Rountree deserves a lot of respect, man, because early UFC run, I've been watching the whole thing. Didn't look great, just looked like a talented guy with explosiveness. Now, become a true, well-refined mixed martial artist. And after going tooth and nail with Alex Pereira, this is the biggest win of his life. Jamal Hill win on paper is the biggest win he has ever had, bar none. The issue is, right, Magomed Ankalaev is the world champion. A Yuri Prochazka Ankalaev fight is something that I think people are interested in, but I do believe the UFC is going to set the Pereira Ankalaev rematch up sometime mid to, probably not mid, but now later half of 2025, maybe December, maybe October. In that range, I think we see Ankalaev and Pereira fight. Yuri Prochazka versus Carlos Ulberg is like an obvious number 1 contender fight, but I will say, it is a not far-fetched idea to push Khalil a bit. Khalil Rountree versus Yuri Prochazka and just a badass martial arts fight. The samurai versus the Muay Thai. It's like you can't write shit better than that in movies. It's kind of a mistake for the UFC not to put together a stylistic matchup of that magnitude. Now, of course, they could go the route of giving, Khalil Rountree, Dominic Reyes, who's on a badass 3-fight win streak right now. And that's not a crazy idea. And you know what? Reyes from Southpaw with that fast left could be live in the fight. But it's like there's not as much oomph on it, right? Reyes coming off a nice W against Nikita Krylov, but Rountree coming off the war with Pereira, the domination in a main event against Jamal Hill. I feel like he's a player for a number 1 contender fight. And if it's not Prochazka versus Ankalaev, and if it's not Prochazka versus Ulberg, I think a perfect fight that could be put together would be Yuri Prochazka versus Khalil Rountree. And I don't want to wait for one of them to lose and then it not happen. If I'm the UFC, priority number 1 is seeing when we can book those two. Yuri Prochazka's going back to school. He turned down the Ankalaev fight because he's got some final exams and shit. So respect the educated Prochazka. But I think a fight against Rountree is a proper, like, top contenders matchup. Then the winner of that fight would be compelling in a title fight against an Ankalaev or even a Pereira, to be fair. I don't think anybody would, like, hate a Prochazka-Pereira trilogy if Prochazka beat Rountree and then Pereira had beaten Ankalaev. Like, they'd rather see that as opposed to Ankalaev-Pereira 3. And then looking at, the other side of it, if Khalil were to, well himself back into the title picture, I don't think anybody would hate a Pereira rematch for the belt. But I definitely don't think anybody would hate an Ankalaev fight for the first time for Khalil Rountree. With the Muay Thai skills, he poses an interesting threat to Ankalaev, who's a southpaw as well. And Rountree could be live to rip some heavy calf kicks on the southpaw Ankalaev. And we've seen Ankalaev against Jan Blachowicz have issues with those kicks. Yeah, things are interesting, man. Things are very interesting in this UFC light heavyweight division. And I think the right move is Prochazka versus Khalil. That's what I have to see next. That's my vote. I'm a matchmaker. That's the fight I want. It's the biggest name value fight to make if it's not Prochazka already in a title fight. Now, if that's not the case, of course, there's a possibility of a Carlos Ulberg fight or a Dominic Reyes fight or even maybe a Jan Blachowicz fight if you really want to go down the ranks and find something. It's not a terrible idea, regardless of Blachowicz not having great success recently. He's still competitive with Ulberg. Obviously, a lot of people thought he beat Pereira in their first fight. And I still consider him a player in the UFC light heavyweight division. And Khalil versus Blachowicz is also a masterclass striking battle, too. That would be a 5-round fight night main event or like a special feature fight. Now, for Jamahal Hill, I feel like you can go a couple of directions. If it's, okay, you're on a 3-fight losing streak, we want to give you another guy in a 3-fight losing streak, you go Jamahal Hill versus Alexander Rakic. That could work because they've lost 3 in a row on both sides. But I won't lie to you, man. I don't think the UFC gives a shit about Rakic. I would rather see Jamahal Hill take on somebody like Mingyang Zhang, the Mountain Tiger, right? Maybe if Mingyang Zhang ends up fighting Johnny Walker and then wins, they'd book that fight, but obviously scary for Hill, who's coming off L's. Or maybe a Jamahal Hill versus the likes of Azamat Murzakanov, who's on a tear right now and undefeated and needs a big name fight. There's ways to matchmake, and it really depends on where the UFC favors Jamahal. I don't think he's ever fighting for the belt again. I don't think he's a player for the elites. I think he's a gatekeeper role now. I'm not sure he gets through Azamat. There's a Volkan Ozdemir fight that could end up happening. I kind of like that matchup. Honestly, it could be a cool striking clash if, he wants to fight overseas again. I don't know if Jamahal will because obviously Volkan can't fight stateside because of some legal issues and shit. Could it be a Bogdan Gushkov fight if Gushkov goes out and beats Nikita Krylov? There's options for Jamahal Hill, but I definitely think that he's in a gatekeeper spot now. And I'm not so sure he's beaten any of these guys. Like, can you imagine if they booked him versus Dominic Reyes? I mean, I think Dom Reyes is a 2-1 favorite. I'd probably pick Dom Reyes to beat Jamahal. Jamal's chin's still holding up, getting cracked by big shots and going down, but not getting flatlined. I just think his time amongst the best in the world is now over. Maybe they do a battle of former champs. Jan Blachowicz versus Jamahal Hill. And we go in a completely different direction, right? Then you probably lose that fight too, to be fair. I think Jamahal finally showed like, okay, the tires are a bit flat. The tires are a bit flat. I'm not loving any of these matchups. I think he could beat a Bogdan, maybe. He doesn't have that same hand speed anymore that made him famous, man. His accuracy in his prime was different. His fast twitch, was different. The ability to close the range was different. The feel was different. The look was different. The shape was different. The motivation was different. Jamahal Hill, at first it was the Achilles, then it was Pereira, then it was Prochazka, but there was positives in the Prochazka fight. Then he just got shut out by Rountree. His time amongst the best is now over, man. And Khalil Rountree, he might have another title fight left in him. And I want to see him versus Yuri. That's more important to me. Yuri, Rountree, make it happen. If I'm the UFC, I'm being like, you know what, Jamahal, we're going to give you Azamat Murzakanov. We got to find out about this guy, and we like the matchup. I just don't know when Hill's timeline of return is going to be after he's getting his legs chopped apart. He could end up taking a year off. I don't know for sure. We shall find out. Nonetheless, UFC Baku main event gave us the information we needed. Khalil, there's no fluke against Alex Pereira. He is that good. And it wasn't the best card of all time. It was a weak card. I joked around at the beginning, pretending I'm asleep, but no, it was fine. It was good. It was decent. There were some low moments in the main event, but it was still a very legitimate, technical mixed martial arts battle. Obviously, pretty much just striking. There was one big moment where like Rountree hit the ground, fell back after a kick, and then Hill came with a big straight that touched him, but Rountree got right back up, ate the shot without much issue, and ultimately didn't affect his confidence at all through the fight. Rountree has looked like such a poised mixed martial artist, and I respect the fuck out of that because he came a long way since the tough days, since starting his UFC career off losing to El Dirty Sanchez, and didn't he lose to Tyson Pedro in the second fight? It wasn't looking good for Khalil Rountree. I'm going to make sure, but I'm pretty sure it's Tyson Pedro. Yeah, it was. To now being a legitimate top contender at light heavyweight. I remember when Prochnio beat him. What the fuck? I had the channel back then. It feels like a long, long time ago. Throwback shit. Respect to Khalil getting it done. Now, picks-wise, fucking hell, man. I got my ass handed to me, but I feel like I should have been 5-1 on the main card. Just a robbery took place. So we'll do the main card. One with Naimov, one with Sadykhov, one with Orolbai, part of the Lock City Parlay the Cash. Lost with Rivzon, but I thought I won. One with Fiziev. So, like, we're on fire, it feels like, heading into the main. And then now I'm looking at how the fuck did I pick Jamal Hill? Delusional faith in who he once was, guys. Don't do that. The delusional faith in who he once was. That burned me here. But respect to Rountree. So, loss, win, win. So what is it? 4-2 on the main card, but really it's 5-1. And then prelim city was fucking warfare. We started it off with a loss, the Hamdi fight. I did say, though, the over is a good play, and it ended up being right. So that's a positive. Ulanbekov, part of Lock City Parlay hits. At least a lock hit at plus money. Lost with Syguła, Alekseeva. Lost with Zheleznyakova, Mullins. Women's MMA. Does it count? Nah. Lost with Naurdiev in Park. Fair loss. Lost with Ko and Oban. Respect to my brother. Fucking holy shit. Wow. So what is the record on the prelims? 1-1, 1-2. So 1-3 on the prelims, 4-2 on the main card. So what is that? 5-5 overall. But then if you count the women's fights, it's 5-7. But no IQ Mullins and just lazy Alekseeva. Are those really counting? Well, when all else fails, guys, you got to have faith in the locks. The plus money Savage underdog call hits again. This time, a 2-leg parlay with Ulanbekov and Orolbai comes through beautifully. Confident picks, besides Oban Elliott, were pretty on the money. Obviously, Fiziev as a big underdog pulled through, and I thought Kuniev should have won as well. So there's positives to take away, even though, like, numbers-wise, it might look rough. Very easily, one scorecard goes the other way, and I'm living lavishly. So that was UFC Baku. I hope you guys enjoyed the recap. Smash the like button. If you're new, subscribe. W in the comments if you got nothing to say. Thank you guys for 49,000 subscribers. We celebrate Monday. And full card predictions dropping for UFC 317 tomorrow. So keep it locked in with me. W in the comments if you got nothing to say, but definitely score the card. 1 to 10. 5.5. I'm not a hater. 6.25 out of 10. It was not a great card. It was early in the afternoon. It was, not feeling that nighttime excitement, but better than not watching fights. So I'll take that as a positive. Weak card, but not the worst card ever. Thank you guys for watching. W's to the people. I'll see you all in the next one. Much love. Peace out.